Hi, my name is Jake Hoffman. I'm a private with the Toledo Fire Rescue Department in Toledo, Ohio. Here to talk about one of our 2 new Rosenbauer Warrior heavy rescues. Looking at the front of the rig, starting with the bumper, we set that up the way that we did. Protect the truck right with the steel bumper versus the chrome, but also we wanted to minimize the length of the rig as much as possible while still giving us the options that we needed. So we wanted to recess the queue due to some damage to the queue on our previous apparatus. We wanted to have our tow eyes coming through the front of the bumper rather than below it, so it was easier to rig to. We've got a hitch receiver here that's been braced that we can put a portable winch to, and we wanted the ability to run 2-to-1 systems or just any other rigging that we might need to do with the front of the rig with these tow eyes. Made sure that they were large enough to pass all of our rigging supplies through, and then also have enough room for our electronic siren speakers and the air horns. So we chose the Warrior chassis for these heavy rescues. We've got 6 engines on Warrior chassis, and probably the biggest factor in that was the size. So being in an urban environment, having tight streets, that 100-inch commander cab that we have on all of our aerial devices, it's just a lot of rig to wheel around the city. So went with the Warrior chassis, just a little bit smaller, still enough room for the guys, but a little bit easier to navigate and hopefully avoid obstructions. So we set up the interior of the cab to have a cab that was as cleanable as possible while still having the ability for our firefighters to be ready when they arrive on the scene. So to do that, we put the Raptor liner inside on all surfaces, along with diamond plate coverings on all the floors so we can easily clean or mop out after a fire, also to add for durability. So we're gonna have these rigs for a really long time and tried to avoid as much as possible any plastic or vinyl or anything that was going to get broken or torn or cracked over the lifespan of the vehicle. So these compartments over the front wheels, a lot of people refer to them as EMS compartments. On our job, we refer to these as just our dirty gear compartments. So the whole concept or idea behind this concept is that after a fire, firefighters can place their dirty gear into these compartments from the outside of the rig. They're isolated from the inside of the cab to again help in cancer prevention. But there's also a roll-up door access to the back of the cab. So what that allows is if another fire were to come in on the way back from the first fire that you're at, the 2 firefighters in the back seat can roll up that door, get dressed, and not have any delay upon arrival to the second fire. When they're not full of dirty gear, they get cleaned in between, and a lot of times we found that our firefighters are putting their boots or their helmet, their face piece in there just to keep it from banging around in the back of the rig, and so it's not hanging on a hook up behind their seat or anything like that. So looking at the back of the cab here, we tried again to make everything as cleanable as possible and make it as safe and easy for our guys to get in as we could. So we've added extra grab rails on the doors, and then as you get in again, like in the front, you've got the Raptor liner and you've got diamond plate floors. We've got a clean air filter in the cab as well. Across the top of our 2 EMS compartments, we have a tray that spans the full width of the rig, and that is to put our ballistic PPE, so helmets and vests, up there, stored in the cab so guys can actually have it upon arrival at an active threat incident. And then we decided to go with fold-down seats for the 2 crew members in the rear, just to give them a little bit more room as they're getting in and out of the rig, especially with turnout gear and SCBA on. The seat just folds up out of the way and is kind of a non-issue there. So our L1 compartment is transverse, but only in the first, I think it's 18 inches. The rest of the compartment only has a 24-inch compartment depth, so we could maximize the amount of space for slide outs and shelves in the R1 compartment. So in this transverse portion, we're gonna keep 2 trench panels here that we can use as our primary shoring. So quick hit, arrive to a trench rescue incident, we can place a quick panel set, what we call a primary panel set, around that victim to protect them while we're waiting for extra resources to arrive with additional panels on trailers and other vehicles. This compartment will be the driver's SCBA and turnout gear, and then top shelf is going to be PFDs and then EMS gear on the remaining shelves. And at the bottom here, we have a generator plug, our light tower controls, and one thing that we did on this rig that with our last rig, we had a lot of issues with corrosion attacking our winch plugs that we had at each individual receiver. So we have 2 winch plugs that are mounted inside compartments on here. One here in the L1 compartment, the other one in the rear. We have a 25-foot winch power extension cord. that allows us to reach any of the receiver hitches from this point, or in the rear, we can use that one as well. So just gives us versatility while protecting these things from corrosion. There's going to be a lot of different tools, porta bands, rotary hammers, petrogen torch, Bauer exothermic cutting torch. We're going to have saws on our slide out tray here at the bottom. Once we move our shelves and get all the measurements figured out, we'll have rotary saws and chainsaws down here. In the R3 compartment, we plan to store RIT equipment and rope rescue equipment. On these two shelves, we have our spare SCBA storage here. We're going to have 2 spare oxygen cylinders above that. And then in this wheel well compartment, we have our fuel fill. We have dual fuel fills, one on each side, because a lot of our city fuel pumps, sometimes you can only get into one side or the other. So it gives us that option. And then we're going to put a water can in here as well. In our L4 compartment here, this is going to be pretty much completely filled up with rigid boxes. So we've taken all of our tools out of mismatched toolboxes or the cases that they come with from the manufacturer and put them all into rigid boxes. So they're modular, they click into each other, and we don't have to play Jenga as we cut them in and out of the compartment. We had Rosenbauer make the front lip of these shelves only 1 inch to give us a little bit more room to get those cases out, but we left the rear lip of these shelves at 2 inches. So if we ever decided down the road to change the layout, we could always flip those shelves around and be back to the normal 2-inch lip on the shelves. And then lastly, we have 2 different plugs in this compartment. So the gray cover is our shoreline connection, and that's what most of our chargers will probably be plugged into 90% of the time. And then the yellow cover is our generator connection. So rather than spending money on a transfer switch or having an inverter, we decided to just have these 2 options. So if we need to charge something on the scene, we just unplug it from the normal shoreline plug that it's normally in, plug it into that generator plug right below it, and we're back in business. So in our rear compartment here, again, we have a winch power point tucked up underneath the shelf. On this tray will be a portable winch and accessories, that extension cord, some of the rigging supplies. And then as we get up into the rest of the compartment, we'll have our Stokes basket here. We've got a couple 8-foot hooks and a folding ladder. Then behind this door, we have a 24-foot portable ladder. We have an 8-foot, what we call a RIT ladder or a VES ladder. It's just an 8-foot roof ladder that we can use. These 4 slots up here will be for Paratech Gold struts, 635s and 610s. And then this slot and this slot will both be filled with lumber. So both rescues will have the capability to bring a lot of lumber to the scene without having to worry about bringing out one of our larger USAR rigs for a simple vehicle into a building. Or if we need to cut additional cribbing on the scene, make it longer, whatever, we have that capability. Next to that, we've got picket storage for 8 pickets. Next to that, in this space, will be a little giant ladder. And then we've got our cord reel here that's on a movable fairlead, so we can roll that thing out and it avoids taking up the side of the compartment door or hitting that ladder. Rolls out and just makes it a little bit easier to access both sides of the rig. So up top here, we've got our coffin compartments. We worked with Rosenbauer to make the driver's side compartments as wide as possible. So the passenger side coffin compartments here are the standard width that Rosenbauer typically makes. And our committee decided that we didn't need a super wide walkway, but we wanted to maximize the amount of storage space. So Rosenbauer worked with us, made these as wide as we could while still keeping a good walkway space. And something else that we added that was not normal was we added these secondary rubber latches to the lids of the coffin compartments, just because Toledo has some pretty notoriously bad roads, and we were afraid that over the lifespan of this rig, the gas shocks may wear out, or you hit a pothole big enough to where one of these doors comes up, and we didn't want it to get ripped off by a tree branch. So that's why we added these secondary rubber latches there. And then up here we've got our light tower, our hydraulic generator, and then we also have a dunnage area off to the right side there that was unused space that we just had Rosenbauer install a divider in there so we could store certain material up there, like scoop shovels or things that can ride outside but we don't use very often. So this logo here is a logo that used to be found on our apparatus back in the 50s and 60s, and these rigs were renumbered And we, as the committee, went to the fire chief and asked if we could kind of resurrect this old school logo, and we got the approval. So that's what we were calling the diamond logo. But again, just kind of a throwback to some of our old heavy rescues that we had back in the 1950s and 60s. But inside this compartment is going to be our hydraulic tools. So we're going to have battery-powered extrication tools here on some tilt and deploy mounts. We're going to have line hydraulic tools mounted to the rear wall, things that we aren't going to use as often, but we still want to have that capability for multiple reasons, including maybe a vehicle into the water or having multiple extrications that need to take place. So on this slide out, we're going to have a Simo pump. We'll keep hoses up on this top shelf. The shelf's going to be moved up a little bit higher. We also have our shoreline and generator plugs as well, just like in the L4 compartment. And then here we're going to store our glass kits, tie back kit, step chalks, and other just quick hit stuff like Sawzalls, just basically a vehicle extrication compartment for the most part. So our R3 compartment here is going to be entirely cribbing. Again, we asked Rosenbauer to maximize the depth of this compartment, so we rearranged the way the ladders were in the R1 in the rear compartment and try to get everything as centered as possible, both for weight distribution, but also so we could maximize the depth of this compartment. So this compartment will be completely filled with 4x4 and 6x cribbing. We have this vinyl sheet here that's going to be fastened up top here. The dealer's going to put short pieces of webbing here so we can actually release those buckles, and then this piece of vinyl will flip down and protect the side of the rig as guys are throwing cribbing in and out at a scene. So our R2 compartment here, we can start from the front. So we have storage for Paratech airbags here. We've got 6 airbags that are going to be stored inside of this module, some of them with their assorted pads. Up on top of this, we designed to fit our airbag control kit that has a 30-minute CBA cylinder pre-installed in it. The regulator's pre-hooked up. All the hoses are stored in there, so you can just grab that and go. You don't have to find and assemble everything as you go on. The rest of this compartment is going to be mostly rigging type stuff. So we're going to have slings, shackles, master links, round slings, eye slings, wire slings, all will be up here. This slide out is supposed to be for chain. So on this slide master, we'll have our grade 10 chain on both sides of this that we use for rescue rigging. In this bottom pull out, we had Rosenbauer put sides on this, so we had more mounting surfaces. It's a lot of unused space when you just have the small tray. So in order to maximize that, we had them close in 3 sides. So on this, we plan to put grip hoist and other sort of rigging essentials, snatch blocks, and what have you. Store the grip hoist wire rope and a motorcycle tire here, and then again, we can use the walls of this slide out basically as mounting surfaces for additional equipment. In the R1 compartment, kind of like I talked about on the driver's side, the entire compartment here is actually transverse. We just worked with Rosenbauer to put a divider in it, so it's actually kind of 3/4 depth access from the officer's side, which gives us some long shelves here, and it also gives us a long slide master tray here that is going to store Paratech struts. So we'll have Paratech struts, hydrofusions stored here for easy access, along with a lot of the assorted accessories there. We're going to have some of the power tools will be stored in here, and some of our portable lighting systems will be stored here as well. Like I said, right in front of this divider, we'll have 2 trench panels. We've got our pike pole storage, some pry bar storage, and then again, a slide out tray in the bottom of this R1 compartment that has sides on, or walls on 3 sides of it. And this is gonna have some more lifting equipment. So we're gonna have high lift jacks, we're gonna have bottle jacks, floor jacks, and a lot of those other miscellaneous hydraulic powered. We'll have porta power and just all those accessories, basically anything for lifting short of the airbags is going to be right here. So between these 2 compartments, almost everything for rigging and lifting except the winch will be in these 2 compartments. Going down the side of this rig, like I said, we chose the Warrior because we were worried about the width of the rig. And so we've tried to keep things as narrow and as tight as possible. So things like recessing our emergency lights into the side of the bumper, and then down the side of the rig, our lower warning lights are actually recessed into those poly rub rails. to prevent damage. So in closing, this is the walk around of our new Rosenbauer Warrior Rescue Squad. And we'd just like to thank Fire Chief Allison Armstrong, Assistant Chief John Kaminsky, Deputy Chief Bryce Blair, and the other members of the apparatus committee, Lieutenant Craig Ellis and Lieutenant Jamie Morlock. Again, this is one of 2 brand new heavy rescue squads for the city of Toledo, and we're really excited to get them out of FDIC and into the streets of Toledo.